Hey guys, welcome to the second of our biomolecules videos. We have already gone through the structure of biomolecules and now we're going to talk about their function. So what they do, generally speaking, in our bodies. Okay, let's start off with carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are made of sugars. Take a look at your notes. What are complex carbohydrates made from? They're made from sugars. So you can write sugars in the first blank of your notes. You guys have seen this picture before down here that looks like the ring structures, and they look like they're holding hands. Whenever you see a picture like this, these ring structures holding hands, these are saccharides that are linked together. Each individual one is a monosaccharide. Mono means one, saccharide means sugar. Taken all together in a big long link, it's a complex carbohydrate, which we also call a polysaccharide. We're going to get into these words again here in a little bit. Carbohydrates are also known as saccharides. So take a look at your notes. The second one on your notes says, what is another name for carbohydrates? Another name for carbohydrates is saccharides. Saccharides are another name for carbohydrates. I told you we were going to talk a little bit more about our prefixes, and here they are. You guys have seen these prefixes before. You did a vocabulary exercise on that. Mono means one. So a monosaccharide is one sugar molecule all by itself. There he is right there. Di means two. So a disaccharide is two sugar molecules linked together. Oligo means 4 to 6. So take a look at this molecule up here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 molecules linked together, 4 sugars. So this is an oligosaccharide. Poly means many. A polysaccharide has lots and lots of sugars linked together because remember, poly means many and saccharide means sugars. Sugars are produced by plants during the process of photosynthesis. Take a look at your notes. What process produces sugars? It's the process of photosynthesis. Write it down. You guys talked about photosynthesis in middle school, and we're going to talk more about it in this class. Photosynthesis produces the sugars that are a source of energy for all organisms. Look at your notes. What do carbohydrates provide for cells? They provide energy. All sugars on this planet, all of them, 100% of them, were one time made in the body of a plant. Animals do not create sugars. Plants create sugars during photosynthesis, and they provide energy for cells. Carbohydrates are also used in the cell walls of plants and other organisms. Take a look at your notes. What organelles are constructed with carbs? Cell walls are constructed with carbohydrates. When sugars are placed together in long complex carbohydrates like cellulose, they become very strong and rigid. I want you to think about this real quick. You guys know that trees don't have bones, right? However, they're very, very strong. Their trunks are very strong and rigid. Well, why? The answer is every single cell in a plant is surrounded by a cellulose cell wall that makes that cell very strong and rigid. And that is how a plant can stand upright without having a skeleton. Lipids. Lipids are the group of biomolecules that contain fats, cholesterols, and phospholipids. Take a look at your notes. Your note says, what are some primary examples of lipids? Here they are. I just circled them. Fats, cholesterols, and phospholipids. Fats are a primary example of lipids. Fats are made of a glycerol molecule attached to 3 fatty acids. And again, this is review. You've heard this before. Look at your notes. What are fats made from? They're made from a glycerol molecule attached to 3 fatty acids. Lipids can also be used to store large amounts of energy. This is a lipid that you saw on your notes before. Here's the glycerol head, and here are the 3 fatty acid tails. 1, 2, 3. Okay, look at your notes. What are lipids used to store? They're used to store large amounts of energy. Write it down on your notes. Lipids are used to store large amounts of energy. Well, what does this mean? Gram for gram, that means 1 gram of lipid versus 1 gram of carbohydrates. So gram for gram, lipids contain more energy than carbohydrates. This is why your body stores its extra energy in the form of fat. Look at your notes. Why does your body store its extra energy in fats instead of carbohydrates? Because gram for gram, lipids contain more energy than carbohydrates. There's your answer right there. Everything I just underlined. Gram for gram, lipids contain more energy than carbohydrates. Lipids are also the primary component of all of the cell's membranes. Look at your notes. What organelles are constructed with lipids? The cell's membranes. Membranes are made out of a special lipid called a phospholipid. Take a look at your notes. What specific kind of lipid is used in membranes? A phospholipid. There's the answer right there. Moving on to nucleic acids. Nucleic acids are made of nucleotides. Look at your notes. What are nucleic acids made from? They are made from nucleotides. This large molecule here is a nucleic acid. Each small piece of this molecule, each monomer, is called a nucleotide. Every nucleotide has 3 basic parts. The first part is a phosphate group. Notice the word phosphate group is written in green. The phosphate group is also shown in green below. The second part is a sugar named deoxyribose. The word sugar and deoxyribose are in red. The sugar is in red in the diagram below. The third part of a nucleotide is one of 4 nitrogen bases. The word nitrogen bases is in blue, and the nitrogen base is also shown in blue in the diagram. Take a look at your notes. It asks you every nucleotide in DNA has 3 parts. You need to write in the phosphate group, a sugar named deoxyribose, and one of the 4 nitrogen bases. Nucleic acids. The primary function of nucleic acids is to store genetic information. Take a look at your notes. What is the primary job of nucleic acids? The answer to that is to store information. There it is right there. The Na in DNA and RNA stands for nucleic acid. So what are the 2 primary types of nucleic acids? DNA and RNA. Those are the next 2 on your notes right there. What are the 2 primary types of nucleic acids? DNA and RNA. And again, here's a picture of a nucleotide. This is the phosphate group, this is the sugar, and this is the nitrogen base. Okay, moving on. Nucleotides are also used to distribute energy more efficiently. Take a look at your notes. Nucleotides also serve what other function within cells? The answer is to distribute energy more efficiently. That's what you're going to write on your notes right there. Now, we don't know what that means yet, but I'm going to explain it, so bear with me. The energy from one glucose molecule can be transformed into 36 ATP molecules. Take a look at your notes. How many ATP molecules can be made from one glucose molecule? The answer is 36. So I want you to take a look at this picture. Glucose is a sugar. You can tell by the ring structure, okay? Glucose is the sugar that is made by plants during photosynthesis. It is also the sugar that our cells need, every cell needs, in order to function. But the energy in glucose is very, very concentrated. And so the body has to create that energy into smaller packages that it can more easily use. That package is called ATP. And what it does is it breaks that glucose molecule into smaller little bits, 36 of them, that the body can use to kind of sip the energy rather than drinking it all the way straight. ATP is a nucleotide, but there's a difference with this molecule from the ones that we've talked about before. Instead of just having one phosphate group, that's right here, ATP has 3 phosphate groups. 1, 2, 3, okay? So instead of just having one, it has 3. But take a look at its structure. It still has a nitrogen base. There it is right there. It still has a sugar. And then this would be its phosphate group. But instead of having 1, it has 3. Look at your notes. How is ATP different from the nucleotides found in DNA or RNA? The answer is there are 3 phosphate groups. Okay? ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. That's the next one on your notes. What does ATP actually stand for? Adenosine triphosphate. Tri means 3, which is why it's called triphosphate, because it has 1, 2, 3 phosphates. Okay, but we can remember ATP by calling it all the power. Take a look at your notes. The last one on the first page, but we can remember it as meaning all the power. There it is right there. That's the last blank on the first page of your notes. Okay, turn over to the back of your notes. All right, proteins. This is beginning the back page of the notes. Proteins are made from amino acids. That's the first one on the back page of your notes. You already know this. We've been doing it for almost a week and a half now. This large molecule is called a protein. Each one of these smaller units is an amino acid. Proteins are also known as polypeptides. Look at your notes. What is another name for proteins? The answer is polypeptides. Poly means many, and peptide is the peptide bonds that are in between the amino acids. So another name for proteins is polypeptides. There's the peptide bonds right there. There's one, there's one, there's one, and so on. Proteins are the most diverse group of biomolecules. Why is that? Well, they perform the largest variety of functions within a cell. That's the next one on your notes. Take a look there. What do we mean when we say that proteins are the most diverse biomolecule? We mean that they perform the largest variety of functions within the cell. I just put a big red check mark by that. That's the next one in your notes. Proteins can be used to transport molecules through membranes, and that's a picture of it right there. This right here is a protein that's used as a gateway through a cell membrane. They can be used to attack invading germs, to carry oxygen through the blood, and to send signals through the body. Look at your notes. It says, what are some examples of jobs that proteins do? I want you to write the word transport. That's the first one. Attack invading germs is the second. Carry oxygen is the third. And send signals is the fourth. You don't have to write everything. So you're going to write transport, attack invading germs, carry oxygen, and send signals. Possibly the most important type of proteins are called enzymes. Enzymes are found in every cell, and their job is to speed up chemical reactions. Take a look at your notes. What type of protein is possibly the most important to cells? The answer is enzymes. What do enzymes do? They speed up chemical reactions inside the cell. So those are the next two on your notes. What type of protein is possibly the most important is enzymes. What do enzymes do? They speed up chemical reactions inside the cell. We're going to talk a lot more about enzymes in our next lesson. Enzymes can break apart or digest large molecules into smaller pieces. Define digest. Well, digest means to break apart, and we've been through this lots of times already. Digest means to break apart. That's the next one on your notes. Define digest. It means to break apart. Okay. The enzymes can also synthesize large molecules by putting the small pieces together. So what does synthesize mean? It means to build. We're going to say build up. Take a look at your notes. Define synthesize. It means to build up. All four classes of biomolecules are considered organic compounds. Look at your notes. All of the biomolecules are classified as what type of compound? The answer is organic. In science, organic means they are based on the element carbon. Okay, so that's the last one on the notes. What makes a compound organic? The answer is carbon. I'm adding a slide at the end of this slideshow for a new word that is not on the notes. That word is denatured. Let me get my pen going here. I'm writing the word now. So earlier in the slideshow, we were talking about enzymes. Enzymes are special proteins that are used to speed up chemical reactions within a cell. If you think about when you go to the doctor, one of the first things that the doctor does is he takes your temperature. The reason the doctor does this is to find out whether or not you have a normal body temperature. If your temperature is higher than normal, and normal is 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, if your temperature is higher than that, that generally means that your body is fighting some type of infection. If the temperature is lower than that, there could be a problem with the way that your body is regulating its own temperature. So it's important that we know whether or not your temperature is normal. One of the things that happens to your body when you get a fever is that the enzymes within your cells start to not work correctly. Enzymes can only function at a certain range of body temperature. When the temperature is too high, the enzymes get denatured, and that means that they break down and they can no longer function. When the temperature of your body is too low, the enzymes also stop working, but they don't become denatured. So if your temperature drops too low, your enzymes just stop working. If your temperature becomes too high, then the enzymes become denatured and they break down and they can no longer function. So I want you to add the word denatured in the white part below your notes. And what we're going to do is define it now. Okay, denatured is when enzymes break down. I'm writing it down. When enzymes break down and stop working due to high temperature. Again, enzymes can only function within a certain range of temperature. So if the temperature is too high, they become denatured. If the temperature is too low, they stop working, but they don't become denatured. Denatured means that they're breaking down. They're actually, something is happening to their structure where they're no longer working. The reason we're adding this to the notes is because it showed up on the STAR 2 years ago, and our students didn't know what it meant. So we need to add it into our definitions. Thanks.